Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you.
Hello, and welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 134th show. My name is Rosemary Lachance, and I'm an energy healer and a spiritual therapist.
And I'm Lisa Burton. I'm a heart-centered lifestyle coach.
And I'm Diane Esposito, and I'm a Reiki Master Teacher and Healing Arts Practitioner.
And we are the co-hosts for this thought-provoking series and are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their field. If you know of any subjects that you would like us to discuss, or if you know of anyone who you think would make an interesting guest, please let us know. Please like us on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box, where you can learn about and see pictures of all of our guests and ask questions or leave a comment. Enjoy the show. All right, tonight's show is Explaining the Chakras, Part 2. We had the first one about a month ago with Judy Peluso, and we're doing Part 2 with Diane Esposito as our guest. And we started out, we talked about the root chakra, and the spleen. Well, let me just say this. Let me tell you what the chakras are, okay? Where they're located. I think that we'll show this picture pretty quickly so people can see and get an idea as I talk about them. Okay.
Do you want me to hold it for you while you talk?
That's how, okay. You can focus on Lisa, please. Okay, get that shine off there. There you go. If you could see spiritually, everyone walking around, they would look like that. All of us would look just like that. These are our chakras. At the crown, the top, the white one, that's the center of mercy. At the throat chakra, that's lavender, and that's the center of patience.
That would be the third eye, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was I saying? Yeah. Thank you for correcting me. In the forehead is the second one, and that's the center of love. Love, yeah. The third one is patience. That's in the throat area, and that's the blue, and that's the center of patience. The fourth one is in the heart area, and that's the earnestness. That's green. The next one is in the stomach, solar plexus, and that's yellow, and that's the center of wisdom. The next one is in the kind of like the belly area, and that's will, and it's orange. And the last one is down in the groin area, and that's red, and it's called order. And we talked about order, and we talked about will, and we talked about wisdom at the last show, and what they were, and what they did, and so forth. So I don't know if you want to do a real brief explaining of it again. I don't want to take too much time because I do want to get through everything. What do you think? Do you want to explain?
Well, it's interesting, too, to just let people know that the chakras are explained in different orders and different ways by a variety of healing arts practitioners.
Right.
That all bring different aspects to their teachings. And for instance, if we were to go through those chakras that you were holding up, maybe you want to hold them up again just to have an idea that in some practitionerships you would call the first chakra the root chakra, having to do with surviving, they say. When I teach my clients, I'll tell them, let's move to persistence and thriving activity, so movement forward. So would you like me to give a little bit of the kinds of things that are associated as well as I go up the chakras from the root?
Yeah, you
and give a little bit of
do the first three and to just kind of
just to give an idea,
re-examine them.
And so root chakra, when we are teaching classes or Reiki practitionerships, or just to teach people more about their own energy and how they can relate to their bodies, that root chakra is all about movement, to have the ideal aspects coming and flowing through it, rooted all in the spine, of course, as these chakras are. that it would be movement with joy, and that it would have a boost for the immune system associated very much with earth energy to help that. And then as we move up 2 fingers below the navel, it would be considered the sacral center, or some people call it sacral plexus. There's different words for it. But as it's taught through this, especially Usui Reiki, it would be associated a lot with creativity, with bringing the sweetness of life in, sensuality, being comfortable in our own skin, healthy relationships. And then just say, moving to the third, as you were saying, that can be considered the solar plexus. The colors associated there would be a golden light. And the idea behind that chakra would be to set boundaries that heal, to stand up in your power of love energy. Would call that center kind of your power of love, rather than the love of power or fear, when you're trying to bring it into balance. And that would help you with these habits that heal when you address that center and bring strength to it. And the other things you could do is bring colors into those areas with regard to food, clothing, different kinds of aspects that you might even have in decor, and try to heighten some of those colors that maybe you're not taking in food, you have it in your clothing. Bring balance that way. So does that help a little bit?
Yeah, it did. And I also was taught that the creativity was in the stomach area, the center of wisdom. So, and I know a lot of people are saying it's in the center of will, right?
So it
can be both, yeah.
I think that even though we give or are given different aspects as the strengths, even the colors, that it doesn't mean there's no other color in that chakra.
Right.
Or it doesn't mean there isn't a capability of creativity to exude from the solar plexus as well. The reason we were taught it was in the sacral center, of course, is because not only do we give birth to children that way as far as the female aspect, but we give birth to new ideas as well. And so even when let's say women are in their perimenopausal, menopausal, or postmenopausal states, that chakra can still remain balanced. So I wouldn't say anybody is wrong or right. You need to test these things out for yourself.
Exactly.
I think, and notice where your energy is most affected with the items as you just brought them up.
That's true. You'll hear a lot of different explanations from a lot of different people about it, and we don't hold fast to anything special. So. All right, so we're going to go up now to the fourth center, which is the heart chakra. And that's the one, that's the color of green. And I have that the sense affected with that is feeling. And if it's harmonious, it's a channel of divine love. You can change the world about you, unite people, heal differences, radiate warmth, sincerity, joy, compassion, giving unconditionally, feeling safe and comfortable with all creation. You see, all of creation is part of you. Okay, and if it's not working properly, who wants to explain that?
Well, I would say, is that okay? Did you want to speak?
Sure,
Have something? Well, in the Heart Center, with so many clients that I have coming in for these types of healings, what I mainly focus on is that Heart Center, because once you have it in balance, so to speak, or at peace, it helps to have all the other chakras align themselves almost like they fall into place. And so with the Heart Center, what I find is when people are out of balance or constricted there, for example, maybe they have had grief, a loss of a pet, a child, God forbid, but these things occur, or just a loss of a job, or even some of their functionality as they age, that some people tend to build what I would call like a castle wall around their chakras, meaning like they are protecting themselves with energy, and therefore it's like there's a moat around it. If you had to visualize it, there's a drawbridge up, and they start to feel as though they are cut off from help, from support, when in fact, right in that healing heart home, as I refer to it, this chakra, there's the connection to our beings of light, whatever is most comfortable in your own culture, your own faith, whether it's God's loving essence, source, whatever you call this, angels, it could be masters, ascended masters, even people who just love you dearly here on earth, or those who have passed. And what I find is people need help in feeling safe and feeling
Yes,
protected. And once we connect with some form of protection energy and we can breathe better, so that affects the heart chakra too, the breath, and then we're able to just dissipate those or release those castle walls and take on a different type of protection. Now what you'll find is when you are feeling better, like as though you don't have that heaviness, sometimes even emptiness at the same time, those castle walls have dissipated, and what you've replaced them with, at least in the sessions that I'm used to, is some form of comfort that you feel protected with. For people who like angels, it could be Archangel Michael, known for the energy of protection. It could be God's loving essence, source. It could be whatever is, resonates with your faith or your culture or just your beliefs. And once people feel that peace, the whole heart center is able to heal much more swiftly. Is that what you find too?
Yes, definitely.
I'm curious if I could ask, when someone comes to you, how you detect an imbalance.
How do I personally detect?
Yeah.
Well, usually when we begin a session, I just have them seated and take them through a posture of relaxation. I notice their body posture to start with. If people are feeling fear, their body posture is usually compressed. They have their arms held around them, or their leg is winged over the, I don't know what you call it, folded over the other leg, and they're kind of turned from you a bit maybe. So you can just tell they're protecting themselves. And then as you guide them through a relaxed body posture and the breath, I think the best way to do it is say, if you're comfortable with this, close your eyes, take a deep cleansing breath like we could do now. Like say you took one. And I take them through with that sound so they can just let it all out. With one breath, I can usually see their countenance, their muscles, their body posture relaxing. Then we usually dedicate the session to love, just so that there's an intention with it. By the time we get through helping them to just feel safe and relaxed in their space, that it's confidential, that whatever they wish to speak to us it's safe. It's a safe place to just bring up everything. And you'll notice that people will tend to cry. They will tend to shed tears of release, which is magnificent. A lot of people at first might think, oh, I'm crying, and I just let them know pretty much everyone cries when they come for a session.
Yeah, I've had
Do you
them
find
really,
that?
yes,
Yeah.
very.
And it's a wonderful
I'm sorry. So don't be sorry. Cry as much as you want. Yeah.
Right. And so then, as we're working, what I find, at least I feel like it's a gift that was given to me to be almost like intuitively guided to give a meditation for the heart chakra. So every time I do a session, I will include that area as a healing heart home. That's what I call it, and get people connected to the child within them. And what I mean by that is that part of you that is full of awe, wonder, possibilities, limitless potential. And so as you see that healing, sometimes you can even see colors arising over their shoulders in their aura, like a rose color or a joy-filled color. Because although the heart chakra, as we spoke of, you were saying it's green, and also there's a beautiful fuchsia color at times that comes into the heart center that I've seen there and over the shoulders when people are speaking from joy. And the transformation occurs sometimes just with feeling safe. That begins their healing. They're breathing alone, breathing and allowing those chakras to, what would you call it, like be like a harmony, where they finally unclog that constriction, and it's almost like, oh, okay, now the roads are open, right? And you can see the differences.
Well, the way I detect it when I do it is, as I'm going down, I can feel that everything is smooth, it's rotating, and then if there's something is wrong, there'll be either I'll get prickly feeling on my hands,
that's right.
I'll get that, or
agree.
my hand will get really cold. That area of their body is cold. It's so cold, and there's no warmth there at all. And I say, okay, there's a problem, and then maybe some questions or whatever, or I'll hold it for later because I don't want to interrupt them, and I'll take my hand and try to start to move it in a circle, clockwise, and just keep working on it and keep giving it a lot of energy. That's what I feel when you asked if there was
That's a good
know
point.
something
That's
is
a
wrong.
good physical sign,
Yeah.
and I agree that that does occur quite often. You'll notice too, if you're treating people on the back of the heart chakra or the back of any of the chakras, that for me, I've seen that relates very much to the free will aspects of our energy. And so a lot of times on the very back, when they turn over, a lot of heat is released rather than when we're doing healing sessions, rather than feeling the energy almost move in like a vacuum, and I'll let that sweep off. So it's almost like they're releasing that castle wall. I can feel it moving. And then we replace it, of course, because you want to have opposites, with energy of love, energy of peace and protection, just through our intention and whether you're doing, there's all kinds of energy healing, but that's another good point, the physical feel of it. And the client, sometimes they can actually feel the heat releasing. Sometimes they can feel it from your hands or my hands. I think we've seen that, where
Well,
they're
hands
aware
get
of it.
really hot.
Right.
Yeah, when I start, really hot.
And
And one lady, she lifted up her blouse. She says, "Put your hand on my skin. I want to feel that heat." She says,
Yeah,
"Oh, it
it's
feels
comforting.
so good." So I did.
And speaking of the heart chakra, what I found too is if you have people that have had surgeries, if they have had just recent grief, if they have been just a relationship has fallen apart, maybe a long-term marriage or relationship, that rather than go right in on the heart chakra with the energy, that what I'll do is first maybe take their palm or palm and elbow, and that helps open up all the upper chakras. And it's almost like a gentle approach, like instead of going right up to someone and hugging them, you might say welcome and touch their shoulder, or just kind of gradually move in, and you'll find that people will be able to let go more easily that way. And the other aspect, I think, with heart chakra, which I feel is so important to always address, would be maybe a little bit of guided imagery to help them to be at peace with connecting with their inner child, because a lot of people don't even know what that means. My inner child, and what do you mean? I'm not a child. But really, truly, if you're going to heal completely at the heart center, I believe we need to be like little children and use our heartfelt imagination or our joy-filled imagination, and that's how we start to really truly connect with that child within, and use that energy to have imagery that heals. And science is behind that now, so I think it's fantastic.
Well, I use 3 kinds of energy healing: the Reiki, Christ healing, and shaman healing. And so if I always put people through a meditation, a guided meditation in the beginning, something very pretty, something to settle them down and make them feel whatever. And then when we go somewhere, I have them go to the heart chakra as their secret place, their safe place, because the Christ light is there, and they can go there anytime and explain, that that's your special place, and you can travel down there and you can sit there as long as you want and meditate there and whatever, So, but I want everyone to know that all the healers do things differently. So because we're telling you this, if you go to someone and they don't do it the same, it's okay. If they're not an above board healer, I think you'll be able to tell. But I don't think there's many people that are like that. Everybody is very honest, as far as I know. So, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't think to the heart, no.
Okay. So you want to take the next one, the throat?
Throat?
Yeah. You want to read it? Do you have your papers?
No.
Oh. All right.
I'm going to just go from my experience.
Okay. Go ahead.
So my schooling has been in the polarity therapy. So we look at the throat as our center of expression and self-expression. So it can be creative, it can be talking, it can be visual, it could be acting. And if it's opened, you feel free to express yourself. If it is not, if there's a block, you're going to be having tendencies not to speak up for yourself, maybe not to live your dreams, to feel that you have the ability to see them through. And you may develop hoarseness, you may develop a raspiness to your breath and voice, and just not be vocally strong.
That's true. I was going to say, yeah, we'll go through them all again and tell the people what symptoms they'll have in their body when they're ill. That's very interesting. Then we know what part of the body, what chakra is not rotating right by the symptoms of their illness. Now, you want to tell the people what polarity healing is, so they'll know that you do?
Polarity looks at the positive and negative of the way energy flows through our body. So it was developed by Dr. Randolph Stone. He was a fantastic, brilliant man. He was an osteopath. He also dabbled in a lot of other things. And he was really, really ahead of his time. And he actually, when he married, he took his wife's name.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, how about that?
That's how
That's nice.
ahead of his time he was. But he followed the meridians of the body.
Like an acupuncturist does. Yeah.
Right, for the way energy flows through the meridians. And the chakras relatively equate in our practice to elements. So it's the earth root chakra,
Yes.
so it's earth for us. And then we move up to the sacral chakra, which is water element. Fire is our solar plexus. So that's where we get our drive and our energy to put ourselves forth in the world. And then air is
Chest, yeah.
is the throat and the chest area combined. And then we have ether for the third eye and the crown chakra.
Crown chakra.
So it's a little bit of a different system, but a lot of parallels. And essentially what we're doing in our interventions is that we're viewing any energy blockages as the dis-ease of a human system. And it can express itself emotionally and physically and mentally. So we're looking at how we can balance that through diet, exercise, and teaching a client energy exercises to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So again, interrelated, but a little different in that polarity looks more at balancing the positive and the negative of the nervous system, basically.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, I want to go through all of them to say, what the symptoms would be. And we can each talk about it. So if we all have different ideas, but they're all really the same.
Okay.
All right, so then the next one we're going to do is,
Third eye.
yeah, the third eye, which is the love, center of love. And you want to talk about it? You want me to talk about it?
Well, I think we have different aspects on the third eye. As far as the way I've been taught and what I sense and feel there is all the aspects for clarity to come in. What I mean by that is clarity for our physical senses as well as our spiritual senses. The colors associated would be a very deep indigo blue like the night sky, or like lapis lazuli, as far as if I were to use crystals or stones to open and clear the third eye, meaning you could place that stone right on the third eye, right about here. You could also just envision that color moving right over all of the senses, through the brain, having all shadow dissipate with it, and bring in clear audience, meaning the ability to listen, to hear, clear sentience, to just to sense and feel. It could be clear cognizance, remembering, even the taste and the smell, so clear augustance and clear alliance. So all of these senses, as we're going through either guided imagery or even bringing in emotional freedom technique, which is what I combine with a lot of my healing sessions, meaning that we're able to use a language that connects with the body and a tapping on the meridian points along with those colors in the third eye, because many people find that they're foggy, confused, stuck, and so addressing, of course, the third eye would be perfect there. I think love is present in all the chakras. For me, the way I was taught, compassion and generosity of compassion and love is heart center energy, but I would say it's everywhere. It's in all of them. That's what makes us heal. And with that third eye, to me, what it does is offer you a chance to pay attention to the messages that you're receiving. Now, I think we all have intuitive capabilities, so I feel like that's the center where we awaken to them. Sometimes people will feel some pressure on their third eye when it's actively doing its best to open and expand our awareness and our limitless potential there. And when we allow that clarity to come in, here's what we find. A lot of people get afraid. They're getting these messages, they're hearing, what I mean is guidance. Like you need to call Mary, or it's time to cancel that appointment. It's not a good idea to go there today. Change practitioners. You're hearing or getting a feeling of, you know, what you need to do. And usually if you follow it, you're more at peace, because you're in a sense following your heart through that intuition. It connects with the heart as a second brain. And if you don't, you'll find people who say things like, oh, I knew I should have called. I knew I should have canceled that, or I should have made that appointment. You hear a lot of should haves. And so I think that's a wonderful area to work on, is third eye. You need to have love for yourself and trust in yourself and belief in yourself in order to open it. Or you're just constantly shutting it down because you don't trust the information coming through.
Right.
So
that's
you
like
go
the
ahead.
psychic area, yeah, right,
Right.
here. Now my color, what I was taught with that is a lavender color. I've heard indigo blue also, but I've heard lavender. And to me, that's what opens up your psychic abilities. Like when you see spirit, you don't actually see it with your eyes, with your regular
Physical eyes, yeah.
Right, right. You see them through this third eye, is what we call it. And it's not, it's almost like going between the seconds. I know when it happens to me, it's like if I see something like that or get some, you know, messages, it's almost like time stopped for a minute. I slipped through the middle of time. I don't know how to explain it, but I slipped through the middle, stopped, and there it was, and then it's gone. And if I see any kind of spirit, or, you know, you'll see things out of the corner of your eye sometimes, you know, that'll happen too. But if you just see it clearly, it's like I said, I slip. It's the mind stops. You really don't see them through the physical eyes like they portray in the movies and everything. You really don't see it that way. So to me, that's what that is. And well, we'll go through that to explain if something is wrong. What?
And I would say, oh, go ahead. You were gonna.
Yeah. Did you mention clairaudience? when you
Clear
were talking?
audience, hearing, listening. Yes.
With third eye.
Third eye, yeah.
With third eye as well. And I was going to say too, rather than just say that you don't see with your physical eyes, I would say I have heard, and I'm aware of people who really physically do see color, presence, beings, shapes, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe in your case, everybody, I would say, sees things differently. So I wouldn't just discount maybe that there aren't people out there that may actually, like say a guide comes. I know of one author and crystal bowl teacher who does the crystal bowl healings, and her guide came to her in the vision of a painted Native American pony and someone dressed in all the headdress. You know, so she could phically, I guess in her mind's eye, you would call it, see that vision.
In your mind's eye, yeah.
That vision.
Right, you get a vision.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. If I'll get a vision too.
Yeah.
But like just for a little, you know, it's I don't know how to explain
Yours is
it.
fleeting, in other words. It's in
there, yeah, no.
Long enough for you to get the message you need.
Yeah, it is.
and the
But I mean,
information you need.
if you physically, the door's going to open and he's going to walk in, no, I don't
Yeah.
physically feel that way. Okay, there are some spirits who are poltergeists and so forth, yeah, and they'll make things move and so forth, but they're not higher spirits, they're the lower spirits. But I don't think you physically see them as much as you see a
Yeah,
movement.
it's not my experience, but at least it's something that people have shared with me. So
Yeah.
I thought I would just interject in case there's people out there that, you know, have experience seeing angels, or sometimes they'll say
You think they see them with their physical eyes?
I think they see them with their physical eyes, not just in their mind's eye, that they see actually an apparition at the foot of the bed, this, you know, giant angel, a tiny pocket-sized angel, that kind of thing, in a way that is comfortable for their own milieu or background. I think spirits, angels, guides come to us in a way that resonates with us. It almost feels like we're making it up. So, you know, this is the kind of thing, after teaching all those angel speak classes and connecting to guides and guardians and beings of light, that my clients have shared with me. So we'll
All right.
have to see
Yeah,
how it goes
if
out
I
there.
could just share a quick
Yeah,
story
sure.
too, because I certainly believe that there are other beings around. That's my belief. I don't know if it's the same practitioner or not, but I was at a crystal ball healing one night, and we were about halfway through the session, and all of a sudden I hear footsteps the floor's creaking, and I'm thinking, who's getting up in the middle of this to go use the bathroom? What are they doing? How rude. Why would anybody get up in the middle of this? It's a meditation.
Well, if you're over 55, you might know why.
Yeah, well, I'm close. You know, it's a meditation you're doing. I'm thinking you're focused on the meditation. Who would get up? So anyways, it's all wrapped up at the end, and the practitioner said, did anybody hear our spirit join us tonight? And apparently she leaves an empty chair for any spirit that is called for a healing to come and join the healing. I'm like, that's what those footsteps were? So even in my belief system that believes there's other beings, I was shocked.
How do you like that?
That I heard with real ears, not in my mind.
Right.
I heard
with real ears.
Yeah,
I
with
get
real
what
ears.
you mean.
Footsteps.
I think it can occur either way. Sometimes it's what we call our mind's eye, meaning we get an image, like a flash, like you were saying. Maybe one time I was doing a healing, and all of a sudden I saw, and I don't mean physically in front of me, but in my mind's eye, I saw a little girl on a swing.
Eye, right.
That's what I call
That's
it.
how I see
like
it.
a vision inside my head.
Right.
But sometimes people see, like you said, the sparks of color. They really see them outside with their physical eye. So I believe it can be both.
Well, when you see auras,
Yes.
I've seen that with my physical
Yes,
eye. Auras,
yes, me too.
I have color. But the rest of them, it's in my mind's eye, the pictures that come in.
But what is important here, whenever you see, sense, touch, feel, whatever your senses are that you're using, rather than just shut down or hope, well, if I'm making it up or being afraid of it, take a breath. Remember that you're protected, and just ask, dearest God or source, however you pray or ask, you know, is there something I need to do or be or create or have that helps with this information? Are you calling on me to be of service here? Do I need to make a phone call or just listen? Is there a message for someone? You know, and that's how you can play with this information, because really, truly, I believe, and I know it's arguable, but that everything is love unless we make it otherwise in our perceptions and in our feelings and our fear. So you can definitely ask, and maybe you'll just hear the answer. Maybe you'll just write out what you think you're hearing, and if it sounds like it's you and that you're making it up, it probably is from your guide or your angel, because they come through in a way that helps you. It would be another way to know about this guidance with your intuition and third eye, is that it would be positive, it would be supportive, it would be gentle and compassionate. It would never ever be some kind of punishment or some kind of demeaning words.
No,
right?
no, right.
So that's how you could tell you're really connecting, you know, with your intuitive guidance, I believe.
And there are people who, I mean, I have to say this, who are, how can I put it, fearful, whose deeds are not above board, and they attract lower spirits to them. And these spirits are the ones who like to go sort of like haunt, as you would say, where people will come and clear the house and so forth. These things occur too. And it's not something you should be afraid of, but it's not something you should encourage either. Some people like to dabble, you know, like Ouija boards and tarot cards and things like that. They like to dabble in the those kinds of powers.
Well, I hear you. I don't.
I wouldn't advise that.
I would say our intention as practitioners is what's key. And we put out there, I'm sure you do as well, and Lisa and Rosemary, that my prayer, my asking is to attract people that are rooted in the desire to heal, rooted in love, and if they're having trouble and they're fear-based, that is what their intention is. And so before I will ever treat anyone, I will have a little pre-conversation with them. I just don't take people walking in with no consultation and then let them know what they can expect. So I've never ever had an experience where, you know, some of the things you're talking about occur, except to say that sometimes people feel like they're cursed or like something is blocking them. And what I'll say is, when we help them change or transform their fear-based thoughts To those that are focused on love, those spirits or those visions or those entities, whatever you want to call them, then they dissipate with their transition to focus and their beliefs. And so when we get to the core of them and teach them, well, if this is what you're focused on, it's simply energy. It's simply a sign coming up. You can cancel that. You know, you can actually just cancel that and say, well, thanks for reminding me. That's the opposite of what I wish to attract into my life. And you can send these so-called spirits or whatever lower energies to the light for healing. And I would always invoke Archangel Michael, because that's my faith, my background, that has worked for me over the years. And just say you're going there with no punishment. I release you. It's time for you to go in a firm command energy. And I'm not an expert with, you know, what do you call that? When people, like the priest will come and exercise. No, I don't. You know, I don't have experience with all of that. But the point is to just understand that our intention, the depths of our intention. I mean, what's deeply inside of us, not what we say to manipulate ourselves or to bamboozle ourselves, but the truth that's in there is what we create. And so we can de-story it, I call it, and really just dissipate it and recreate the kinds of beings we wish to call in around us.
From a place of love.
And I would almost, I would definitely say that if you start calling in spirits rooted in beings of light and love, and you call them in, just by bringing in the light, the other lower-based entities just dissipate.
All right, let me give you an example of what happened to me.
Okay.
I had this young girl came in, and she was on the table, and I started doing Reiki, and I started feeling that there was another presence, and in my mind's eye, I saw this black figure hovering over her, and I wasn't afraid, you know, myself, because, you know, I know what this is all about. But I said to her, have you ever dabbled in, you know, black arts or anything like that, or calling on lower spirits for anything? And she said, yes, she did. She said that she wanted to put a curse on someone.
Oh, jeez.
So she called on spirit to help her to put a curse on them.
I hear you.
All right? She said, because she did me wrong, you know. This is a young girl. I said, well, we can send him away. We can, you know. No, I don't want to. She says, because I may have to use him again in the future. Okay. That's her choice, you know. And that's what she did. I mean, she left, you know, I tried to heal her as best I could, but she left and took him with her. So,
well, to me, you know,
that's what I'm talking about.
There's some beings that are rooted in fear, and that's where they're going to stay in this whole lifetime and transition that way.
No, but she purposely,
invoked it.
Yeah, if you want to dabble in that,
yeah,
that's what's going to happen to you. That's what I'm saying.
And so by the same token, if you invite in the beings of light, you can dissipate any dark entity, you know, because in other words, I almost feel like it's what Mother Teresa taught us. I'm not going to have a war on dark entities or drugs or whatever it is. I'm going to be for Christ or for light or for love, you know, and that's my premise. I mean, I haven't been exposed to every example of what goes on in people, but you know, my firm belief is that we when we ask for protection, to have beings of light around us, that's what occurs.
Exactly.
And so I just relax about it.
Yeah.
And
right, because I wasn't afraid, you know. So
right.
It didn't bother me. I didn't feel that it was going to bother me at all, because it wasn't my vibration. And I have also read where we have our angels around us all the time, our guides, our teachers, our animals that protect us and everything. When we're happy and loving and nice, they can be close to us and they can help us. But if we get upset and we get mad and we start yelling, we give off these sparks. And that doesn't attract, then they can't come near us because of these sparks. They're around, but they're not near us. But that will attract the lower. So be careful when we have those little fits, you know. That can happen. You know, the people out there, we know about this, but there are people out there who don't realize that. So there's just little hints and stuff that, you know, I want to make people aware of. You know what I'm saying? There's two sides to everything, you know, and
there is,
and
but
maybe it's 3D and there's more sides. Who knows?
Yeah.
No, I mean, really.
I had this conversation recently with a friend of mine who is into metaphysical things and whatnot, and she was talking that she does a lot of protecting buildings where she works, where she lives, loved ones, with white light, always surrounding them with white light.
Buildings?
Yeah,
Oh,
where
people-
lives and works,
Oh, okay.
but a lot of protecting with white light. And I kind of questioned her on that because my take on it was, if you're doing so much protecting, you're really admitting that there's something fearful out there. Do you know what I'm saying? So what are you
Well, I
what are you
think that-
protecting?
You have a good point. It depends
Can I
on how
just
people are
finish?
taking it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I suggest as a practice is just to ground yourself every day. And if you are grounded and you are walking in that heart space love, you're not going to need to protect against anything because you're solid.
Yeah, I
You
see.
know what I mean?
see what you're saying. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't know why she does that. I mean,
It's just her practice, her belief to call in protection for everything. And to me, that's a sign of fear. If I walk in love, I'm not worried about protecting myself.
yeah, you're right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
When I get up in the morning, or before I get out of bed in the morning, I always thank him for, thank God for the night and, the sleep and everything else. And I say, lead, guide, and protect me throughout this day as well as the night. It's just a thing
Right.
that,
I mean, people do it in different ways,
Yeah.
whether they're connecting with white light on a regular basis, or because that's what they were taught to do, or you're doing it just because, in a way, for instance, where I've made an agreement for myself with Archangel Michael that I have gratitude for all the love and protection that surrounds me, every breath and every step, no matter where I am and who I'm interacting with, and that my thanksgiving is there for it. And should I forget, please understand it's there for me and be there for me. And then I take it a step further and let people know that really we have free will. That puts a little wrench in everything, so that even though we think we're protected, as soon as we act, like you were saying, in low dense energy, we're stepping right out of the bubble into, maybe some quicksand, maybe some tar and feathers. I don't know, it could be a lot of different things, but you'll recognize it. And so the other prayer I put out there or asking is, help me be like the eagle above the storm. Help me to be, release the need to be attached to drama, my own, my ego's, and other people's. And so it's an ongoing process. So,
It is.
I guess people just deal with it in different ways. For me, when I remember I am protected simply because I asked, I used my free will, I also realize there's my responsibility to be sure that I am aware of the kind of energy I'm bringing into a room, a space, a place, a relationship, because it really does affect things. I had a client just last night ask me for which stones shall I buy in the form of a bracelet that would be filled with protection. And I said, well, really, it's your intention. This is almost like feng shui for the body, using the stones, and you would clear them with your intention, or with Reiki symbols, or whatever it is that you want to intend, and then place the fact that I'm grateful for connection to source, for my protection, or whatever it is that suits you, and then you put the bracelets on. Well, she just flung 3 of them on, and we were talking about the different attributes of rose quartz, wonderful for heart or relationship healing, of I think there was a pachitir, which is a blackish stone with white, and how it absorbs grief. And there were a lot of fear-based things going on in her mind about, well, I don't want to hold other people's tears. So I'm explaining to her, well, the intention is that this way you don't hold that sadness, that grieving in your body. It's a place to release it, like we do to Mother Earth, like all of our cleansings that done through her soil, through her waters, right? And so she puts these on and then proceeds to go to her car in the wintry mix. And apparently I found this morning that she had slipped. And she said, oh, I broke my CD. I'm okay. I'm fine. What does it mean? I put all the 3 protection bracelets on. And so we learned from that. I was able to help her to understand that it's your free will. Look at the boots you were wearing with the heels that were 2-inch highs. Perhaps that's it. But before suggesting that, I would always ask, well, ask yourself first, what does it mean to you? Take a breath, close your eyes, and ask. And so she took it extremely well. She laughed, and she understood, well, it's not the bracelets, it's not the stones. It's our intention, our ability to be aware, to be the observer. There's so many components. And I think that's what makes the healing arts so wonderful, that each practitioner, each client brings to the table something that helps us both to grow, in our awareness and even the way we do the healing work or receive it ourselves, right? It changes constantly.
You remember Patricia Brooks that we had on the show recently? Remember her? That she,
Oh, yes.
the animals that came to her and so
animal
forth.
totem.
She sends me a little newsletter every week. And the one she sent was, this week was, positive affirmations don't work.
Not by themselves.
No, you open it up and then you read it, and she says, they don't work because we don't believe. Okay? And I said, wow, that's a good point. And, we all should say positive affirmations because they help us. But if we're fear-based and we're going around asking for protection constantly, I see what you mean.
Right.
We shouldn't have to do that. You have to say, you believe it when you say it. I mean, I believe everything is a cause and effect. If I put my hand in the flame, I'm going to get burned. Or it's a karmic thing that is done for me to help me to get rid of a burden. So one or the other. And I feel, I always feel the protection and the safety of my angels and my God and whatever.
Yes.
And whatever
peace.
happens will happen. Because you can't walk around in fear.
Right.
And, put all these things around me. You can't. You can't
That's
wear
like the
this, I'll wear
castle
that,
wall
I'll do this
building,
and that.
right?
Yeah.
And so either you're protecting yourself out of fear or you're doing it out of love. The imagery for love to me, like for one example, would be the beautiful white feathery wings of an angel, if you want to imagine them that way. I imagine them of Archangel Michael coming up above the shoulders and down into Mother Earth and then embracing me, and like a blanket of love. So it's breathable, flexible energy. Protection doesn't mean you need to be in a glass box with the lid down. Quite the opposite. You need to push that glass lid up and push those walls down and breathe in life with ease and grace. Even amidst challenges, prickly people, excitement, celebration, it's just calling us to pay attention, and that way we can go within. We have such limitless sources of support, like you were saying. Our guides, our guardians, they're right here. The God within us, the light within us. It's not out there somewhere, and that we have to go searching for it. It's opening to it.
Right.
And it's little things like going out the door to forget something, and all of a sudden I'll hear, don't forget to bring that paper with you. And I'll go, thank you. I'll say thank you out loud,
That's right.
So, I mean, little things, big things, little things. Before we go on anymore, we want to finish here with the seventh, the Crown Chakra, which I've always seen as white. I don't know if anybody else sees it anyway. And it's pretty much open all the time. I know when I start with people, most of the energy is up here. I feel the heat, the hottest up in here and there, in this. And as we go down the body, then if there's a problem, it starts to get. Very rarely do I feel any kind of a blockage up in the head. Do you? Do either one of you?
Well,
at the top of the crown?
No. I think you're right. I think a lot of times most of us are stuck in our head.
Well, that's
and
what
we're
I was
not in
gonna
our
say.
bodies.
So there's blockages in the area of the head. There's people with a lot of pain in the head. So I don't know if we're talking about the same thing.
No, I'm talking about that's where the light comes in all the time.
But I think some people do shut themselves off at the crown. You know what the funny thing is? I guess we all experience a different kind of or group of people who tend to come through with maybe certain issues that we are more attuned to with our own energy, the way we've progressed or whatever we're progressed, meaning like or whatever we're attracted to. And so I have found people with blockages and heat and cold in all aspects of their bodies, to different and varying degrees. So I wouldn't make a generalization for myself like that.
Well, this was one little thing I wanted to read. It says, when this is open, which it usually is, you experience oneness with the source of being, which is God, and with others, realizing that we're all brothers and sisters. You realize true self. The individual ego becomes a universal ego. And knowledge comes from within, and you can fulfill your life purpose according to the universal design. And light radiates from you and opens the heart of receptive people. That's what,
and if it's open like that, I would say that's utopia. And that's likely a lot of who you are. And so what I would say is when I found people who, like say they lost their child, I've had one case where accidentally a husband ran over a 2.5, 3-year-old child because he was drawing with chalk on the driveway, and there were no backup warnings, on his vehicle. And that mother, her crown chakra was having a tough time with with God and so forth. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, sometimes
Yeah.
people, I think, cut themselves off from God on purpose because they're crushed, or they think that this shouldn't have happened. How could
God
this have
abandoned
happened?
them.
You know, and
Yeah.
so they do
Doesn't happen.
shut that down. I've known one client who couldn't even say the word God, more than one actually, that didn't want to say the word God, or didn't even want to say source or higher power, nothing, because I think sometimes people are so shocked or traumatized sometimes by what occurs in life. They think it's all done to them. And then until they can come to that healing point to realize that things are done for us, and that these sacrifices of these souls who have contracted, I believe, to maybe leave earlier than what we expected, or to even the people that passed in 9/11, that they were there to wake us up
Yeah.
to something.
They already
So it was
said they
a
were going to
gift.
do that before
it
they
was
came.
a gift. And so even though, of course, head on with something as a parent losing a child, sometimes the first things that come up are the opposite of what we wish to create, or even what we believe, until they're helped maybe by practitioners such as yourselves, or maybe even myself, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why learning about reincarnation and karma and all that is so important, to be able to answer the questions of life. Why does this happen? Why does that happen? But before we go on anymore with that, I just want to say now that in the different areas, when something is wrong with your body, like the root chakra,
Okay.
that could be, you could have, if it's not working, if it's closed, if it's tight, whatever the problem is, it affects the legs, the knees, right, and everything else. Could affect the female organs, the male organs. That area is for that. All right, you all agree? If you have any problems.
I mean, I would say in general, those things that I find can be true: knees, ankles,
Right.
feet, anything for movement forward.
Right. Because I want,
And I think sometimes when your root chakra is affected, it not only affects that chakra, and like you were saying, I didn't hear just specifically sacral center. It can affect the whole body if you're not grounded, or your immune
Yeah.
system is shot.
Right.
So yeah.
But I mean, that's where,
But it
that's
shows up
the root
most
cause. Yeah,
prevalently.
that's
Yeah.
where we've got about 6 minutes
Okay,
left, so
go
I
ahead.
want to get this through. So that's what you look for if you have, if you're having heart problems, a heart attack, or clogged arteries, or whatever you're having in the chest, or our lungs.
Asthma.
Asthma or lungs. You look to that center there, and read about that center and what it controls, and that's how you'll know that's where that's coming from. When you change that area, when you change your way of thinking, which this controls the different areas, right? Am I making
That's
myself
true.
clear enough?
I mean, I think that is
Am I?
a general aspect
Yeah.
that most people start with.
Right.
And then if you find other research on it, such as Usui, you'll find that the sacral center affects the heart center very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And if you clear that area of your shouldas, couldas, have-tos, resentments, you will find healing in areas such as tumors, or breast cancer, or
Mm-hmm.
lung problems. So yes, what you're saying makes sense. And then there's more to it. We can go deeper. You know,
Right.
we can show them
They're
more.
all interconnected.
When you really say them, mercy, are you showing enough mercy? I just take the one word. Are you showing enough mercy? You
Yeah,
have
that's a
brain
beautiful
tumors.
question.
Yeah, you have brain tumors. You have problems up in your head. Look to the center of mercy and think: have I shown mercy? Have I been cold? Have I been not understanding, or whatever? When you have problems in the head too, the same thing with the head or with your eyes, or your ears. Love. Am I being loving enough? Have I been loving enough? Think about that, all right? In that area. I'm going to brief it. The neck, patience. You made a good point. Patience. Sometimes people can't express, and they're having, problems, difficulty with their throat. They're always getting sore throats. They're always coughing. They're always whatever. Look to your patience. Have I been patient enough? Do I show patience to other people? Why am I always having this problem? Same thing with the heart chakra.
patient with yourself.
This is right. This is
Yeah, that's
earnest,
what I was
right,
thinking,
and
exactly.
yourself.
Patient with yourself.
Yeah, because these are all for yourself too. Do I love myself enough?
Right.
Not just other people, but myself. Then the heart. The same thing with the heart chakra. That's earnestness. That's gentleness in the heart.
Compassion.
Yeah, feeling like that. Okay, and the stomach. This is the wisdom. Have I shown wisdom? Am I acting with my own wisdom? I'm just giving a brief little
Yes.
thing. Will. Am I willful? I want my way. I don't want to hear about anything. Do I force my will on others? Do I manipulate them to get them to do what I want them to do? Am I having stomach problems all the time? Well, look at that. Look at the wisdom. That center, that's your center of wisdom. Look around, read about these things and find out and say, okay, I'm having a problem here. This could be the reason. The wisdom. The willfulness is down in the lower one. That's the center of will. That's what I'm saying about doing that. Usually the wisdom is, what would you say the wisdom would be? I know it.
I mean, I was going to let you go right through because your teachings are
I'll
different.
finish.
So
I'll finish it, and then you go ahead.
You finish.
All right. So the willfulness is down here. If you're having problems with the stomach area, the lower, the belly area, in through here, and then down at the bottom, am I having female problems or male problems? Am I having cancer of the prostate? Am I having tumors in the womb? Am I having whatever? It's something to do with order. Is my life in order? Do I have my thoughts in order? Am I scattered all the time?
Priorities, you mean, like that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, not only that, it's getting your thoughts in order, getting your house in order, getting everything arranged. If they say a person's house is like what's in their mind, like hoarder, people who hoard.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They're clogged. They're
Okay.
clogged. Okay, and that's why they do that, and that's from the center of order.
Okay.
So that's just a brief.
Right.
This is we're trying to teach people what they can look for if they want to understand themselves, if they want to better themselves.
Yes.
To learn about these chakras, read what you can, read everything. And put it
feel
all
free
together.
to call us, right?
Sure.
Ask questions because
All three of us will
I
help
think
you.
with the different perspectives, that it opens doorways to not just this platform, but we have other ways of looking at it. And I would say, ask yourself first. Close your eyes. Ask yourself what you believe it's related to. Write it out. Type it out. Speak it. Be aware of what your instincts are, and then go check with a practitioner, because you have intuition that is most powerful for yourself, and likely you're just going to get a confirmation or some kind of support that supports your own feelings. Likely it'll help you, and then you can be helped to release it.
Okay. I don't have a quote tonight because I wanted to briefly just do a really quick meditation. So we've got about about 2.5 minutes. All right, and then we have to show our our contact information. So I'm going to do this very quickly, and just one form of meditation, which I use it as a Christian meditation, would be to sit upright, hold your hands upright to receive the energy, keep your back straight, your feet on the ground, and take about 5 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and then start. I can't physically do it because I don't have enough time, but start from the top of your head, the center of mercy, and rest there and relax there and think about that. Then move slowly down to the second one, which is love in your forehead, and rest there. Then drift gently down to the throat chakra and think of the color and everything and feel it moving and rest there, and then go down to the heart chakra. Very gently. You do this slowly. You take a little time in each place to meditate on each center. Then go down to the wisdom, and then down to the will, and then down to the order. And then you have what you call a collective basin, which is like the Kundalini at the base of the spine. And that's where all the healing powers gather. And you imagine these healing powers stirring up and coming up through all your body, rising up to all your chakras, healing, strengthening, enlightening them. Healing and strengthening and enlightening all these chakras, which will also do that for you. And then you stay down there and you just try to sit for 20 minutes if you can. And then when that's over, you slowly come back up, each one again, up, 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 up to all the chakras till you end up back at the top of the head. And then just relax for a little while, and then slowly open your eyes and slowly move. And if you can do that, and you had the position when I was trying to say things,
Yes,
and
I went
so
right through
they
it.
could see all of us, doing that. That's a form of meditation. I'm sure other people teach other things, but that's one form. And we all teach it, so if anybody wants to learn, we can show them.
Yes.
Okay? We're almost done.
Happily.
So here's our contact information for Diane Esposito. Go ahead, Diane, you read it.
Oh, it's personalharmonyandhealth.com. And shall I spell it? I don't know what you do.
No, they can see it.
And so it's Diane at personalharmonyandhealth.com. And you can call me between the hours of 8 and 7 p.m. at 203-913-3869 and or 203-284-1204. And if you should miss me, just leave best time to reach you and contact number.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know if we're going to have time to show ours, but there is ours, and we may be cutting off here, so.
Sorry about that.
Okay, everybody can see that, and we're going to say good night now.
Good night now. Good night.
Right.
Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your